Introduction. Why you can't stop scrolling. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, sunlight trickling through the blinds, and before your feet even touch the floor, your fingers are already reaching for your phone. One notification leads to another, and suddenly you're knee-deep in videos, emails, memes, and messages. Sound familiar? You're not alone. We live in a world designed for distraction, a world where every ping, pop-up, and scroll is engineered to capture our attention and keep it. But have you ever stopped to ask, why is it so hard to stop scrolling? Why do I feel drained, anxious, and unfocused even when I'm constantly entertained? The answer lies in a tiny molecule in your brain, dopamine. Dopamine is a natural chemical that drives motivation, reward, and pleasure. It's what makes you feel good when you achieve something, enjoy a delicious meal, or connect with a friend. But here's the catch. Modern life has learned how to hijack your dopamine system. Social media, binge-worthy shows, fast food notifications, they all flood your brain with quick artificial dopamine hits. And over time, that changes how you think, feel, and behave. The result? We're overstimulated, underwhelmed, and constantly chasing the next hit, yet never quite satisfied. We struggle to focus, we procrastinate, we feel mentally foggy. We've trained our brains to crave instant pleasure while losing the ability to sit with stillness, boredom, or challenge. This book is your way out. Welcome to Dopamine Detox, a practical, science-backed guide to breaking free from the cycle of overstimulation and rediscovering what it feels like to be calm, clear, and in control. But let me be clear. This book isn't about becoming a monk or throwing away your phone. It's not about quitting life, isolating yourself, or pretending dopamine is evil. Instead, this is about resetting, about giving your brain a much-needed break from the noise so you can reconnect with what truly matters. Focus, creativity, motivation, and inner peace. Throughout this audiobook, you'll explore what dopamine really is and how it impacts your behavior, how modern technology and habits keep you addicted, what a dopamine detox actually looks like and what it doesn't, and how to build a sustainable lifestyle that supports long-term clarity and productivity. You'll also learn how to spot your biggest dopamine traps, design a personalized detox plan, and finally regain control over your time, attention, and energy. You don't need to run away from the world to live a more mindful life. You just need to reset the system. Your system. So take a deep breath, turn down the noise, and get ready to rediscover the powerful, focused, and peaceful version of yourself that's been buried under the constant scroll. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Understanding Dopamine. Before we talk about detoxing from dopamine, we need to understand what it is, what it does, and why it matters so much. Let's take a gentle walk through your brain. What is dopamine? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. Think of it as a chemical messenger in your brain. It plays a big role in how you feel pleasure, experience motivation, form habits, and seek rewards. It's not the pleasure chemical as many people believe. Rather, dopamine is more about anticipation. It's that rush of excitement you feel just before something exciting happens. The thrill of waiting for a message, the urge to check your phone, the buzz of chasing a goal. In essence, dopamine doesn't make you happy. It makes you want to pursue things that might make you happy. This system served our ancestors well. It motivated them to find food, build shelter, connect with others, and survive. But in today's world, that same system is being constantly manipulated. Let's explore how. The modern dopamine trap or modern environment is flooded with supernormal stimuli, things that are unnaturally rewarding and stimulating compared to what our brains evolved to handle. Think of a perfectly curated social media feed, fast food designed for maximum flavor, endless Netflix shows that autoplay the next episode, online shopping, video games, pornography, junk content. All of these trigger dopamine, fast, hard, and often. But they come at a cost. Because the more you flood your brain with these artificial highs, the more it begins to desensitize. That's right, your brain starts to expect this level of stimulation just to feel normal. Over time, simple things, like reading a book, going for a walk, or having a conversation feel boring or dull, you may find yourself needing more and more stimulation to feel just okay. And without it, you feel restless, irritable, or even depressed. Sound familiar? That's dopamine dysregulation. And it's why so many people feel burnt out, distracted, or disconnected, despite having access to endless entertainment and comfort. How dopamine affects your habits and behavior. Every time you repeat an action that gives you a reward, whether it's a like on your post, a sip of soda, or a funny meme, your brain links that action to dopamine release. Over time, it starts forming habits. Habits are formed in a loop. Cue. Something triggers your brain, a notification, boredom, stress. Craving. You feel a desire for stimulation or relief. Response. You act, check your phone, scroll, snack, click. Reward. You get a hit of dopamine. The more this loop repeats, the stronger the habit becomes. That's why it's so hard to stop scrolling, binging, or checking your phone every few minutes, even when you don't want to. And here's the twist. You're not always chasing the reward. Often, you're chasing the anticipation of the reward. Dopamine fires before the reward comes. It's the just one more check or maybe this video will be better feeling that keeps us hooked. The feedback loop of overstimulation, when you're constantly exposed to high dopamine activities, your brain adapts by reducing the number of dopamine receptors available. It's like turning down the volume because the music is too loud. This is called dopamine downregulation, and it leads to a paradox. You're surrounded by things that are supposed to make you feel good, but you feel numb, restless, or constantly unsatisfied. You become addicted to stimulation not because it's enjoyable, but because your brain is desperately chasing the feeling it used to get. It's not your fault. This system was never designed for this environment, but now that you're aware of how it works, you can begin to take back control. Dopamine is not the enemy. Let's pause here for an important reminder. Dopamine is not your enemy. It's not bad. It's not evil. In fact, it's essential for a healthy, motivated life. We need dopamine to wake up and feel energized, pursue goals, and build discipline, enjoy relationships, music, and movement, experience purpose and meaning. The goal of a dopamine detox isn't to erase dopamine. That's impossible and unnecessary. The real goal is to reset your relationship with dopamine, to reduce your dependence on quick, artificial hits so you can reconnect with the deeper, more fulfilling pleasures in life, the quiet joy of progress, the richness of real connection, the satisfaction of doing something difficult. Chapter 2. The consequences of constant stimulation. Take a moment and ask yourself, when was the last time you truly felt still? Not just quiet on the outside, but calm on the inside. No distractions, no need to check, no itch to do something. For many of us, that kind of mental stillness feels almost impossible. We've become used to a constant stream of information, entertainment, and engagement. And while it might feel normal, it's not natural. In this chapter, we'll explore what happens when your brain is constantly flooded with dopamine, how overstimulation quietly drains your focus, energy, and emotional balance. The truth is, the consequences of constant stimulation are deeper than you might think. Mental fatigue and brain fog, when you're constantly jumping from one dopamine-triggering activity to another, scrolling, clicking, binge-watching, your brain never gets a chance to rest. This leads to mental fatigue. You start to notice difficulty concentrating on simple tasks, trouble finishing what you start, a foggy, sluggish mind that can't stay present. It's like your brain is always on, but never truly focused. You might feel busy, yet accomplish very little. That's not a time problem. It's a dopamine problem. When the brain is overstimulated, it loses the ability to sustain attention on low dopamine activities, like reading, writing, or deep thinking. These things require focus and patience, which overstimulated minds struggle with. Loss of motivation and drive. Another hidden cost of constant stimulation is the loss of natural motivation. Remember, dopamine plays a huge role in our desire to pursue goals. But when you're constantly rewarding yourself with quick, easy dopamine hits, your brain becomes lazy. Why go for a walk when you can just scroll? Why read a book when a video explains it faster? Why put in effort when you can be entertained with a single tap? Over time, your brain begins to associate discomfort with boredom, and your motivation to do meaningful but challenging tasks disappears. This is often called dopamine burnout. You're not lazy, you're just conditioned to avoid anything that doesn't offer immediate pleasure. The detox helps you reverse that. But before we get there, let's look at what this does to your emotional state. Increased anxiety, stress, and irritability. Here's something surprising. Too much stimulation doesn't make you happier. It often makes you more anxious. Why? Because the brain is constantly jumping from one high stimulation input to the next. It rarely gets a break. You never fully process anything. You're in a reactive state, always scrolling, checking, refreshing, never just being. This leads to restless thoughts, an inability to be present, low-grade anxiety that simmers beneath the surface, and when you do try to slow down, you might feel irritable or even panicked, like you're missing out, like silence is scary. That's your nervous system reacting to the sudden drop in stimulation. But here's the truth. That discomfort is not a sign something's wrong. It's a sign that your brain has forgotten how to be still. Disrupted sleep patterns, dopamine overload can also interfere with your sleep, especially if your stimulation comes from screens. Late night scrolling, binge watching, and gaming expose your eyes to blue light, which suppresses melatonin, the hormone responsible for helping you fall asleep. Even more than that, your mind doesn't get the downtime it needs to transition into rest. You're feeding it content right up until your head hits the pillow. The result? Poor quality sleep. Waking up tired despite hours in bed. A brain that feels like it never fully shuts off, and here's the dangerous cycle. Poor sleep increases stress. Stress increases dopamine cravings, and dopamine cravings keep you overstimulated. It becomes a loop. And breaking it is key to regaining clarity and energy. Reduced emotional resilience. Constant stimulation weakens something crucial, your emotional resilience. Think about it. When every uncomfortable moment is immediately covered up with a distraction, you lose the ability to sit with discomfort. You avoid boredom, sadness, frustration, or silence by reaching for your phone, turning on music, or grabbing a snack. But emotional growth only happens when you're willing to face your feelings, not escape them. Overstimulation doesn't just affect your habits. It dulls your emotional range. It narrows your tolerance for difficulty. It keeps you chasing comfort and avoiding the very experiences that help you grow stronger. With a dopamine detox, you'll start building that resilience back, moment by moment. Warning signs: you might be overstimulated. Let's pause and get personal. Here are some common signs that your brain may be in a state of dopamine overload. You reach for your phone without thinking, dozens of times a day. You struggle to sit in silence without background noise or input. You feel bored easily, even when you're surrounded by entertainment. You avoid tasks that require patience or effort. You've lost interest in things that used to bring you joy. You feel constantly tired but mentally restless. You can't remember the last time you were truly present. If any of these resonate with you, good. Awareness is the first and most powerful step. Once you see the patterns, you can begin to change them. The good news now. For some relief, your brain is incredibly adaptable. Just as it adapted to constant stimulation, it can also adapt to simplicity, calm, and focus. With time and intention, you can rewire your habits, restore your motivation, and reclaim your peace of mind. You don't have to give up modern life. You just need to change your relationship with it. In the next chapter, we'll explore what a dopamine detox actually is, what it means, how it works, and what it's not. Because this isn't about living like a monk or quitting life. It's about taking back control so you can live fully. You're closer than you think. Let's continue. Chapter 3. What is a dopamine detox? At this point, you understand how dopamine works and how overstimulation can hijack your attention, dull your motivation, and cloud your mind. You may be feeling the weight of that realization. Now it's time to breathe, because this chapter is where things begin to shift, from awareness to action. Let's answer the big question: what exactly is a dopamine detox? A reset, not a rejection first. Let's clear up a common misconception. Dopamine detox is not about eliminating dopamine. You can't and shouldn't do that. Dopamine is essential for life. Without it, you wouldn't move, speak, or care about anything. So what is a dopamine detox really? At its core, a dopamine detox is a temporary period of intentional disconnection from high-stimulation activities. It's a reset, giving your brain a chance to recalibrate and your nervous system a chance to rest. Think of it as hitting the pause button on your overstimulated mind. During this pause, you reduce or remove the things that give you quick, artificial dopamine spikes, things like social media, video games, junk food, endless scrolling, constant noise or background entertainment, internet rabbit holes, pornography, compulsive checking of messages or news. This break allows your brain to rediscover pleasure in the simple things, rebuild attention span, and restore its natural baseline for focus and motivation. It's not punishment, it's a gift. The purpose behind the pause. The goal of a dopamine detox is to retrain your brain. Right now, it's likely wired for instant gratification, always seeking the next hit, the next scroll, the next escape. That wiring keeps you reactive, distracted, and overstimulated. By removing those instant reward triggers, even briefly, you give your brain the opportunity to build tolerance for boredom and discomfort, reconnect with low stimulation, high reward activities like reading, walking, or creating, break compulsive habits and form intentional routines, strengthen mental clarity and self-control. It is like turning down the volume of the world so you can hear your own thoughts again. And in that silence, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel alive again. Detox doesn't mean disappear. Now, you might be wondering, does a detox mean I need to quit everything, live in a cabin, and disappear from the world? No, not at all. There are different levels of dopamine detoxing, and it's about choosing what works for you. Let's look at the most common approaches. Polycat. Detox 24-hour reset. You take an entire day to unplug from high dopamine triggers. No screens, no social media, no internet, no processed snacks. You engage only in simple restorative activities: journaling, reading, walking, meditating, stretching, or just resting. This full reset can feel hard, but it's often deeply healing. Mini detoxes, daily practice. These are small pockets of the day where you consciously reduce stimulation. For example, no screens for the first hour after waking, a silent lunch break without music or phones, a 30-minute walk with no distractions. Mini detoxes add up over time and help you build mindfulness into your routine. Themed detox, trigger specific. In this method, you detox from one major dopamine source that you know is taking over. Maybe it's TikTok, video games, or sugar. You commit to avoiding it for a set period, a day, a week, or even a month. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. You're learning to observe urges without obeying them. Replace, don't just remove. A key part of a successful dopamine detox is not just removing distractions, but replacing them with grounding, low dopamine activities. Otherwise, you'll feel restless, anxious, and tempted to relapse. Here are some excellent replacements: journaling your thoughts and feelings, reading a physical book, going for a mindful walk, practicing deep breathing, or meditation, doing creative work like drawing, music, or writing, cleaning, or organizing your space, cooking a simple meal with full presence. These activities don't give you a dopamine spike. They give you a dopamine drip, a steady, nourishing sense of satisfaction that builds over time, and that's what your brain needs to heal. What a dopamine detox is not. Before we move on, let's address what a dopamine detox isn't, because this will save you a lot of frustration. It's not. A quick fix for all your problems, a punishment or deprivation exercise, about never enjoying modern life again, a replacement for medical help if you're dealing with depression or anxiety. This isn't about being extreme, it's about being intentional. It's about recognizing what you're addicted to and gently learning how to live without being controlled by it. Even a single day of detoxing can give you clarity and momentum. And once you feel that sense of freedom, it becomes easier to maintain. Getting ready for your detox in the next chapter will guide you through how to prepare for your first dopamine detox, step by step. You'll learn how to identify your triggers, plan your detox day, and set yourself up for success. But before we move on, here's a small challenge. Pick one thing to let go of for the next 24 hours. Just one. It could be no social media for a day, no snacking between meals, no YouTube or short videos. Notice how it feels. You don't need to fight the urge. Just observe it. That's where the real power begins. You're not escaping life. You're stepping back into it. Let's take the next step together. Chapter 4. Preparing for your dopamine detox. A step-by-step guide. Welcome to the turning point. You now understand what dopamine is, how it's silently hijacking your brain, and why a detox can restore your mental clarity and peace. But let's be honest. Knowing is one thing, doing is another. The moment you decide to take a step back from constant stimulation, your brain will push back. That little voice in your head will whisper, just one more scroll, or you'll miss out. Don't worry, that resistance is normal. In this chapter, we're going to make your dopamine detox not just possible, but practical, with a step-by-step guide that sets you up for real success. Step 1. Define your why. Before you change anything, ask yourself, why do you want to detox? Is it because you're always distracted, you can't focus for more than 5 minutes, you feel drained, anxious, or overwhelmed? You want to reconnect with real life again? Write your why down. Say it out loud. This is your anchor. You'll come back to it when the urge to give up hits. A powerful reason creates powerful momentum. Step 2. Identify your triggers. Next, you need to know what you're detoxing from. Take a day to observe your behavior. Notice the activities you turn to when you're bored, you're stressed, you're avoiding something. Make a list of your top dopamine triggers. Most people find their culprits in social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, endless browsing or gaming, streaming shows or videos, junk food or caffeine binges, porn or mindless dating apps, compulsive texting, news checking or email. Refreshing. No shame here, just awareness. That's where the power starts. Now pick one or more of these triggers that you will temporarily pause during your detox. Step 3. Set the rules. Now it's time to design your detox. Keep it clear, simple, and realistic. There are 3 common types of detox. The light detox, ideal for beginners. Example, no phone for the first hour in the morning and last hour at night. Replace that time with reading or walking. The medium detox, a full day away from dopamine-heavy habits. Example, no screens, social media, or processed snacks for 24 hours. The deep detox, a weekend or full 48-hour retreat. Example, no phone, internet, TV, sugar, or loud music. Time is spent in silence, journaling, meditating, walking, and reconnecting with nature. Choose what fits your current lifestyle, not what sounds most extreme. Then write your detox plan as a simple set of rules like, I will not use social media for 24 hours. I will replace scrolling with journaling or a nature walk. I will keep my phone on airplane mode for 3 hours daily. Remember, clarity equals power. Step 4. Create a low dopamine environment. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you think. So before your detox begins, set up your space for success. Put your phone out of sight or in another room. Uninstall or block apps that you tend to overuse. Stock up on healthy, natural food and drinks. Have a book, journal, or puzzle ready for downtime. Let friends or family know you're unplugging for a bit. You want to make high dopamine choices inconvenient and low dopamine ones easy and inviting. Think of this as cleaning out mental clutter, giving your mind room to breathe. Step 5. Choose. Your detox day now. Pick your date. Don't just say, "I'll do it sometime next week." That's a recipe for postponement. Open your calendar and mark your detox day, or days. You might want to start with a Saturday or a day off work to avoid unnecessary pressure. Remember, this is a pause, not a punishment. Your detox day will be slower, quieter, and at first, possibly uncomfortable. That's okay. That discomfort is your brain adjusting to a new rhythm. And in that space, you'll start to feel a lightness, a calm, a clarity you may not have felt in years. Step 6. Plan restorative activities. Here's the secret to a satisfying detox. Don't just remove, replace. Without replacements, you'll feel bored and tempted to relapse. So, prepare a list of grounding, low-stimulation activities like reading a physical book, journaling or gratitude writing, going for a walk in silence, drawing, painting, or doing crafts, practicing mindfulness or deep breathing, listening to calming music or ambient. Sounds cleaning and organizing your space. Cooking a simple meal from scratch. These activities reconnect you with your senses and yourself. They help you enjoy life again, not just scroll through it. Step 7. Anticipate cravings. During your detox, cravings will come. Be ready. When they hit, don't fight them. Instead, pause and take a deep breath. Acknowledge the craving without judgment. Gently redirect your attention to a replacement activity. Cravings aren't a sign of failure, they're a sign of change. Every time you sit with discomfort and choose presence over distraction, you're rewiring your brain. That's powerful. Step 8. Reflect and reset. At the end of your detox, take 10 minutes to reflect. How did you feel without your usual triggers? What was harder than expected? What surprised you? What do you want to keep doing differently? Write it down. Speak it aloud. Let yourself feel the shift. This isn't a one and done. It's the start of a new way of living, one that prioritizes calm over chaos, clarity over compulsions, and meaning over noise. You're reclaiming your mind and your life. Chapter 5. Rewiring your brain for lasting change. Congratulations. You've taken the leap. You've paused the scroll, muted the noise, and tasted what life feels like when you're not constantly chasing your next dopamine hit. But here's the big question. Now what? Because let's face it, a detox isn't enough on its own. It's a reboot, yes, a powerful one. But if you don't rebuild differently, you'll slip right back into the same loop. In this chapter, we'll explore how to rewire your brain so you can create a new normal. One where focus, peace, and deep joy replace stress, distraction, and digital addiction. Let's dive in. The brain is moldable. Here's the good news. Your brain is not fixed. It's flexible, adaptive, rewiring itself every single day based on how you live. This is called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new connections and reshape old habits. The more often you choose a new behavior, the stronger that neural pathway becomes. The less often you engage in an old habit, the weaker it gets, like a trail in the woods that's no longer walked. So your job now isn't just to remove distractions, it's to train your brain to love simplicity again. Here's how. 1. Embrace boredom. Boredom isn't your enemy. In fact, it's your brain's reset button. Think about it. The moment you feel bored, your mind usually screams for stimulation. Your phone, your favorite snack, something, anything. But when you resist the urge and just sit with the boredom, something beautiful happens. Your brain starts to wander. Then it begins to think. And eventually, it begins to create. Boredom fuels imagination. It gives your mind space to make connections, solve problems, and reflect on life. So don't rush to fill every silence. Let the quiet in. That's where insight lives. 2. Build better habits, one cue at a time. Every habit you have, good or bad, follows a loop. Cue, craving, response, reward, to rewire your brain. Don't just try to resist the habit. Replace the loop. Let's break that down. Example: cue, feeling stressed. Old response: grab your phone and scroll for an hour. New response: take 5 deep breaths and journal for 5 minutes. Over time, your brain starts to crave the new reward. Calm, clarity, groundedness. The key is to make the new habit obvious. Put your journal where you can see it. Attractive. Use a pen you love. Easy. Just 5 minutes. Satisfying. Notice how relaxed you feel afterward. Tiny shifts, repeated daily, change everything. 3. Create a morning ritual that grounds you. The first hour of your day sets the tone for everything else. If you wake up and immediately check your phone, your brain is hijacked before it even gets a chance to breathe. Instead, give your mind a peaceful runway. Here's a simple ritual to start with. Wake up without your phone. Keep it in another room if possible. Stretch or move your body gently. Drink water. Spend 5 to 10 minutes journaling, meditating, or reading something calming. Set a simple intention for the day. You don't need to spend hours on this. Even 15 minutes can create a powerful shift. The goal is to remind your brain, we don't need chaos to start the day. 4. Wind down. Without stimulation, just like a strong morning anchors your day, a peaceful evening prepares you for deep rest. Your brain needs space to decompress before bed. But most people flood their minds with Netflix, news, or endless scrolling until the moment they close their eyes. Try this instead. Turn off screens an hour before bed. Dim the lights to signal wind down mode. Journal about your day. What went well, what you learned. Read a book or listen to calming music. Reflect on one thing you're grateful for. This helps your brain release natural melatonin and creates a true sense of closure. Sleep becomes deeper, your mind becomes clearer, and tomorrow feels lighter. 5. Schedule dopamine. Positive breaks. Let's be real, dopamine isn't bad. In fact, you need it to feel motivated and alive. The key is to earn it, not chase it mindlessly. So schedule short breaks that bring natural dopamine in healthy ways. A brisk walk in the sun, laughing with a friend, listening to music you love. Finishing a small creative task, practicing a skill you enjoy. By giving your brain small, fulfilling boosts throughout the day, you prevent burnout without falling into the doom scroll trap. These breaks feed your joy without draining your focus. 6. Build a digital fence. The internet isn't going away. So instead of fighting it constantly, create boundaries that protect your brain. Try these digital fences. Use website blockers, like Cold Turkey or Freedom, during deep work hours. Put your phone in another room while you focus. Set specific times to check social media or email, and stick to them. Turn off all non-essential notifications. You're not anti-tech. You're pro-mind. You're not cutting off the world. You're reclaiming your presence in it. 7. Reconnect with real pleasure. When you detox from artificial highs, you begin to reawaken to life's simple pleasures. The scent of coffee in the morning, the sound of birds outside your window, the feeling of pen on paper, a slow meal with a friend, the rhythm of your own breath. These moments were always there. You were just too overstimulated to notice. Now they become your new dopamine, not because they're flashy, but because they're real. The more you lean into them, the more fulfilling your life becomes. Final thought: you're not broken. You felt scattered, addicted, or ashamed of your habits. Know this: you're not lazy, you're not weak. You've been living in a world that profits from your distraction, but now you see the game, and you've chosen to opt out. Every time you pause, breathe, and return to the moment, you take back your power. Every time you choose a real experience over a digital one, you strengthen your brain. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress, and guess what? You're already on your way. Chapter 6. Dopamine, Relationships, and the Power of Presence. Take a moment and think about the last deep conversation you had. One without interruptions. One where you felt truly heard and deeply connected. Feels rare, doesn't it? In a world addicted to pings, swipes, and screens, the most starved resource isn't time, it's presence. In this chapter, we'll explore how dopamine, not just the chemical of motivation, but also distraction, affects your ability to connect with others, feel empathy, and show up fully in your relationships. This isn't just about detoxing your brain anymore. It's about detoxing your connection to the world. Let's begin. Disconnected in a hyper-connected world. It's ironic, isn't it? We're more connected than ever before. Social media, instant messaging, endless ways to stay in touch. Yet studies show we're also more lonely, anxious, and socially isolated than any generation before us. Why? Because scrolling through someone's highlight reel doesn't equal intimacy, and tapping a heart icon doesn't replace the warmth of real eye contact. We've substituted true interaction for dopamine hits disguised as connection. We check our phones during meals. We nod without listening. We swipe instead of talking. And slowly, our ability to build real, meaningful bonds begins to erode. But here's the beautiful truth. When you reset your brain, you also reset your relationships. What dopamine does. To connection, dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It's about anticipation. When you get a text or a like, your brain gets a tiny rush. Who messaged me? What did they say? That small thrill becomes addictive, and soon, you're more invested in notifications than the person sitting right in front of you. Here's the problem. High dopamine stimulation trains your brain to constantly seek, not stay. It makes it harder to focus on a single conversation. Listen without interrupting. Be emotionally available. Sit with vulnerability. In other words, it sabotages intimacy. But when you detox from these constant dopamine spikes, something incredible happens. Your attention stabilizes, your patience deepens, and you begin to show up, not just physically, but emotionally. The power of listening. Real connection doesn't come from saying the right thing. It comes from being fully present when someone else speaks. But presence isn't passive, it's a skill. It means putting down your phone, making eye contact, listening without planning your response, holding space even when it's uncomfortable. Says to the other person, I see you, I hear you, I'm with you. And that, more than advice or solutions, is what we all deeply crave. When you detox, you train your brain to listen again, and that's when relationships start to heal, deepen, and thrive. Detoxing communication. Have you ever texted someone just to avoid a real conversation? Or scrolled endlessly to numb an awkward silence? We use technology to protect ourselves from confrontation, boredom, even intimacy. But detoxing means choosing real over easy. It means calling instead of texting when something matters, having hard conversations face to face, being honest instead of curating a version of yourself online, letting silence happen without rushing to fill it. Yes, it's uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is the gateway to authenticity. The more you practice this, the more deeply you'll connect, not just with others, but with your true self. Relationships require effort, not just emotion. Modern culture romanticizes effortless connection. Soulmates, instant chemistry, love at first sight. But strong relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, aren't about magic. They're about presence and intention, and both require dopamine balance. If your brain is constantly seeking stimulation, real people will seem boring. But when your mind is calm and your attention is grounded, even simple conversations feel rich, textured, and meaningful. You begin to ask deeper questions, offer more empathy, celebrate small moments, express appreciation. More often you stop seeing people as distractions from your screen and start seeing them as the main characters of your life. Detox rituals for deeper connection. Ready to turn detox into deeper connection? Here are some practices that work beautifully. Phone-free meals. Leave devices off the table. Focus entirely on the person across from you. Deep check-ins. Ask real questions. How are you really feeling today? Then listen fully. 3. Daily gratitude message. Send one heartfelt message daily to someone you appreciate. It trains your mind to value people over pixels. Walk and talk. Instead of texting, invite a friend or partner for a short walk. Movement plus presence. Magic. The 20-minute presence rule each day. Spend 20 uninterrupted minutes with someone you care about. No phones, no multitasking. Just you and them. These aren't just cute ideas. They're micro moments that retrain your brain to love human connection again. Self-love is the root of all love. Here's a truth many overlook. Your relationship with others mirrors your relationship with yourself. If you're constantly distracted, impatient, and emotionally unavailable to yourself, that's what you'll bring into your connections with others. But when you take time to sit with your feelings, reflect instead of react, embrace solitude without reaching for stimulation, you build self-trust. And from that self-trust flows empathy, understanding, and real love. So the next time you feel lonely or disconnected, don't just reach out, also turn inward. Connection begins within. From shallow to soulful, you've detoxed your mind. You've broken old habits. Now you're not just living differently, you're relating differently. You don't need hundreds of shallow interactions. You need a few soulful, undistracted moments every day. Because in the end, no dopamine hit from a screen will ever replace the warmth of someone truly being with you. That's the power of presence. That's the gift of detoxing. Chapter 7. Dopamine and your work. Focused flow in a noisy world. Let's talk about work. Not the kind you dread on Monday morning. Not the to-do list you scramble through. But the work that matters. The work that comes from your potential. Your purpose. The truth is, deep, meaningful work is becoming rare. We live in a world of notifications over focus, stimulation over stillness, reaction over reflection. But what if you could reclaim your focus, enter flow, and create with the kind of clarity that changes your life? This chapter is your guide to doing exactly that. Your brain wasn't built for this picture. You're writing an important email. A notification pops up. You check it. Then, you get distracted by a new tab. You scroll, click, skim, bounce. 20 minutes later, the email still isn't done, and your mind feels like it's been in a blender. Sound familiar? That's dopamine at work. Each ping, each swipe, each novelty sends a hit of dopamine to your brain. Your attention gets hijacked, not because you're lazy or unfocused, but because your brain has been trained to chase stimulation. Modern work environments aren't just busy, they're dopamine traps. From stimulation to deep focus, your best work doesn't come from multitasking. It comes from deep focus, the mental state where time disappears and your skills meet the challenge in front of you. This state is called flow. Flow is when you write without second guessing. You solve problems creatively. You feel fully immersed and alive in your task. But flow doesn't happen when your brain is overstimulated. It requires stillness, patience, space. Dopamine detox clears the fog so you can reach this state more often and with greater ease. The productivity pitfall. Here's the trap. We confuse busyness with progress. We think productivity means answering emails fast, checking boxes, keeping up with messages. But real productivity is about creating value, not consuming noise. Dopamine-driven work makes you reactive. Detoxed work makes you intentional. You stop jumping from task to task and start asking, what actually matters today? Rewiring your work rituals. Want to detox your workday and reclaim your focus? Start here. Create a distraction-free zone. Designate time blocks where all notifications are off, phone in another room, tabs closed, just you and the task. Use the 90-30 rule. Work for 90 minutes of deep focus, then take a 30-minute break. This mirrors your brain's natural rhythm, known as the ultradian cycle. Prioritize deep work. First, do your most meaningful task before checking emails or social media. Win your morning, win your momentum. Set dopamine boundaries. Use dopamine fasting windows during your workday. No YouTube, no scrolling, no background noise. Let your brain reset between tasks. These rituals aren't about working more. They're about working wiser. Redefining success. You've been told that hustle is the path to success, that being busy means being important. But here's the truth. Success isn't about how much you do. It's about how deeply you focus, how clearly you think, and how intentionally you create. When you detox from dopamine overload, you discover you don't need constant motivation. You need clarity. You don't need more hours. You need fewer distractions. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters. You stop chasing every shiny thing and start building what you believe in. Creative work loves stillness. Are you a writer, a designer, a builder, coder, or creator of any kind? Then here's something powerful. Your best ideas don't come when you're stimulated. They come in silence. When you stop consuming so much, you start imagining more. You enter a creative zone where ideas feel natural, effortless, even joyful. Think about this. Some of history's greatest breakthroughs came during long walks, daydreams, or silent mornings, not in front of a screen. Stillness isn't wasted time. It's where genius brews. Detox makes space for that genius to surface. Why multitasking kills mastery? Let's bust a myth. Multitasking doesn't make you efficient, it makes you mediocre. Every time you switch between tasks, your brain needs time to reorient. This is called attention residue. Even small distractions like a buzzing phone or incoming message can decrease your performance by up to 40%. If you want to master your craft, focus is non-negotiable. One thing at a time. One moment at a time. This is the mindset of top performers, and Dopamine Detox helps you get there. Daily detox for deep work. Here's a simple detox routine to strengthen your focus every day. Morning. Start with 30 minutes of screen-free time. Journal or plan your top 3 priorities. Midday. Block 90-minute deep work sprints. Use music or silence, no interruptions. Evening. Reflect on what you created, not just what you checked off. Avoid stimulation 1 hour before bed. No scrolling, no screens. The goal? Build habits that nourish clarity, not drain it. Over time, your brain stops craving the rush of random rewards and starts thriving in sustained creation. Purpose is the ultimate motivator. You don't need dopamine spikes when you have purpose, when your work aligns with your values. When you believe in what you're building, you tap into a different kind of drive, one that isn't frantic, one that doesn't burn you out. But to hear that deeper calling, you must quiet the noise. And that's what detoxing gives you. A quiet mind, a clear path, and the energy to walk it. Imagine the possibilities. Imagine waking up tomorrow and starting your day calm, not rushed. Focusing for hours without checking your phone. Creating something you're proud of every single day. This isn't a fantasy. It's your future if you reclaim your focus. And Dopamine Detox is how you start. Chapter 8. Your Dopamine Detox Blueprint. Make it last for life. Congratulations. You've journeyed through the science, the struggles, and the solutions. You understand how dopamine shapes your mind, your relationships, your work, and how you can reset it. But now comes the most important step, making this detox stick. Because knowledge alone isn't enough. You need a practical, personalized blueprint to create lasting change. In this final chapter, we'll build that blueprint together. The power of a personalized plan. Every brain is unique. What works for one person might not fit another. Your detox blueprint isn't a rigid regimen. It's a flexible guide that respects your lifestyle, your goals, and your challenges. This approach helps you avoid burnout, stay motivated, and integrate detox into your daily life seamlessly. Step 1. Assess your dopamine triggers. Begin by identifying what overstimulates you. Is it social media, streaming videos, news updates, or maybe endless notifications and multitasking? Write down your top 3 dopamine triggers. Awareness is the first step toward control. Step 2. Set realistic boundaries. No need for extreme fasting right away. Start small. Limit social media to 30 minutes per day. Silence notifications during meals and work sprints. Designate no phone zones like the bedroom or dining table. These boundaries train your brain to expect less stimulation and enjoy it more. Step 3. Build dopamine detox rituals. Choose a few daily rituals that calm your mind and boost presence. Examples include morning meditation or journaling, tech-free walks, reading a physical book, evening wind down without screens, consistency over intensity. Even 10 minutes daily makes a difference. Step 4. Embrace discomfort. Detox isn't always comfortable. Boredom, restlessness, and cravings will surface. See these moments as signs your brain is healing, not failing. Practice patience. Breathe through discomfort. Remember, growth requires challenge. Step 5. Replace. Don't just remove. Instead of just cutting out dopamine triggers, replace them with enriching activities. Try hobbies that spark curiosity and flow. Painting, cooking, learning a language, or deep conversations. These create positive dopamine pathways that nourish your brain rather than hijack it. Step 6. Plan for high-risk moments. Identify times when you're most vulnerable to distractions. Waiting in line, after work, late at night. Have a plan ready. A book, a podcast, or a brief mindfulness exercise. Preparation helps you stick to your detox goals instead of slipping back into old habits. Step 7. Track your progress. Mindfully, keep a simple journal or use an app to log your detox efforts and reflect on changes. Celebrate small wins. I went 2 hours without checking my phone. I had a real conversation without distraction. This reinforces your new, healthier brain habits. Step 8. Cultivate compassion for yourself. Change is a process, not a perfection test. There will be slip-ups, days when you binge scroll or lose focus. That's normal. Instead of judgment, offer yourself kindness. Each moment is a fresh opportunity to begin again. Your brain is rewiring. Honor the journey. The long-term vision of dopamine detox isn't just a quick fix. It's a lifelong commitment to living with intention, prioritizing presence, protecting your mental space, fostering real connections, engaging deeply with your work and passions. When you live this way, distractions lose their power. You regain your time, energy, and joy. Your next steps, now that you have your blueprint, take one small step today. Maybe it's turning off notifications for 1 hour. Maybe it's a silent walk or a no-phone dinner. These tiny actions compound into massive change. Thank you for choosing presence. Thank you for trusting this journey, for choosing to detox in a world designed to keep you distracted. Your mind is your most valuable asset. Protect it, nourish it, and watch how your life transforms. If you ever forget the science, remember this simple truth. You are not a slave to dopamine. You are its master.